Great. So we have everything set up. And we have 2 more minutes and we can start letting people in. I'll be on the watch for people.
I just like to inform you, Christine, that the campaign for the live now with the Zoom link inside has been sent already.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, for day one. Okay. You're welcome. I did confirm.
Welcome, Larry. We're letting some other folks in. We'll be starting in the next couple minutes. Glad to have you. If you can go ahead and mute yourself, that would be great. We want to cut down on any background noise, so go ahead and mute yourself. We'll be muting everyone too. We're letting people in, so we'll be starting in a few minutes. Welcome. We'll be starting shortly. We're in the middle of letting some other folks in. Make sure you're on mute and we'll get started in a few minutes. Thanks for being here. We'll be starting in a few minutes. If you can go ahead and make sure you're on mute. And then also check out the chat. If you can share with us where you're watching today, that would be great. And we'll get started in a few minutes. We just need to continue to let some other folks in. Thanks for your patience. Hi, Anto, in the Facebook group. We have people watching both on Zoom and in the Facebook group since we're streaming at the Facebook group. And something else that I added in the chat, if you can share what's the one thing, if you had to boil it down to one thing that you want to get out of this week's masterclass, put that in the chat. I want to make sure that you get it this week. And also in the chat, if you can share with us where you are watching from right now, that would be great. I'm in the western suburbs of the Chicago area. And Scott, I see your question or what you need, would like to get past the automated scanning system to get interviews. Thanks for sharing that. If anyone has, please share. And we'll go ahead and we're going to get started. I'm turning my video on. Good morning, although it's not morning anymore. It's afternoon in the Central Standard Time Zone. So welcome to everyone. Very, very happy to see you. We have almost 100 people that registered for this masterclass. So we have people watching it on Zoom, also people in our Facebook group, people that will be checking out the replays. So it's great. I'm really excited to be, helping almost 100 of you to land your ideal role in 90 days or less. And also too, I just need to say there's a wide variety of people that are attending the masterclass this week. There's my existing clients. There's people that I've met recently, so new connections, also older connections that I've stayed in touch with. That's important, to stay in touch with your connections on a regular basis. And so a wide variety of people are checking out this masterclass this week. And again, as I mentioned, some of you are on Zoom, some of you are on Facebook. And typically we've done LinkedIn Lives in the past as well, but just for this, we're doing Zoom and Facebook. And then, so again, some people are checking out the replays, which is totally fine and good. I do encourage you, when you can, to attend live. I'm going to work to really end each session in 45 minutes because I want to give you that extra time to review your notes and to take even a small action on one thing that you learned. As I lose my voice, I have my water right here, but yeah, so that's my approach. Also, your workbook, you should have received the workbook. It's a valuable tool, not just for this week, not just for the masterclass. I want you to use it outside of the masterclass as part of your career plan going forward. 2022 is coming to a rapid close, but take this opportunity to use that workbook to review this year and look at what worked for you, what didn't work for you, and then leverage that to plan the year ahead. ideally, you should be able to use the workbook for the next year, even maybe the next year and a half, right? Because I want you to really use it to have a career plan. If you've never had a career plan, now is your chance to use a career plan and really design your career, design your work, and not have work that's by default. Let's jump right in. I started to touch upon the housekeeping thing. So the workbook, you should have received it. And then I recommend that you print a hard copy of it because this way you can take notes on it. And I just think it'll be more valuable and more helpful to you if you print off a hard copy of it. And I also was talking about some other housekeeping things. Who am I? I'm Christine Kidder Graves now. So I really need to update this slide. My LinkedIn profile is updated with my name, but so I am a former HR leader. I worked in corporate for over 25 years, and I was able to get a lot of diverse industry experience in manufacturing, distribution, technology, startup experience, non-for-profit, which included association experience. And I was able to get into human resources from accounting and finance. So that's my real foundation, is accounting and finance. I've always loved numbers and enjoyed it. And I knew I wanted a degree in business. So I did that. And I worked in accounting and finance for about 8 years. And then I wanted to work with people more, but I still wanted to use my accounting and finance knowledge. So I was able to become a recruiter, a headhunter in accounting and finance using my background, which was great. So I was able to do a career pivot before career pivot was an actual phrase. I don't want to tell you how long ago it was because then I'm dating myself. But needless to say, I've successfully done a career pivot. Well, more than one. But anyway, enough about me. So that's how I got my HR journey started, was through recruiting, and I was able to grow and expand. And throughout my HR career, and as it became an HR leader, what was always important to me was why people were doing what they were doing and how they were successful in the workplace, what worked for them and what didn't work for them. And so that's something that always fascinated me. So then when I left corporate to really use my experience, in my own business as a career coach to help you. So using my recruiting and hiring experience, but also all of my HR experience when we were working with employees to help them, to really to make the impact that they wanted to make. Okay, let's keep on moving. So why do you need a career plan? Because right away I started talking about a career plan. If you're going anywhere and with any of your goals, think of your goals when you're working toward a goal as a journey, as a trip. You need to move with focus. You need to have direction. If you don't have that direction, you're going to be wandering around. You're going to be using all this energy and actually wasting that energy. And I wish schools would do this. However, I feel schools are doing a better job. Case in point, my son is a junior in high school. And I feel now we're going to be starting the college exploration process, looking at colleges. However, it's not just colleges, but it's like, what does he want to do with his life? What if he didn't want to go to college? What if he wanted to do something else? Maybe work in a trade or whatever. But did you have the opportunity to really plan out what you wanted to do and your career? You were probably like me, not really. I mean, I just kind of fell into something. I always knew I wanted to do business, but that's why a career plan is so important. And it's never too late. It doesn't matter if you're 10 or 20 years, whatever it is in your career, a career plan will be instrumental in your success. You want to have a plan because if you were to go on vacation or any kind of trip, you'd probably be using GPS, even if you're just going somewhere that's an hour away. If you haven't been there before, you're using a GPS. And think of your career plan for that. It's important to set an intention for your work to make sure you're using your efforts, your energy, they're not going to waste. And you need to have the clarity on your purpose, how you want to take action, and what that action will be. This is my number one favorite quote, but then on the registration page for this masterclass, there's another quote that I will share with you that is a close second. But this is a part of the focus of my coaching you is and helping you is for you to be yourself. That's why you're here, is to be you, not anyone else. Everyone else is taken anyway. That's what Oscar Wilde said, and he's right. You need to be you. You're here for a specific reason. You were given skills and talents and many, many gifts that other people weren't given in your, as you. Only you're the only one who has those. So we really need to bring that out. And that's what your brand is. When I have initial one-on-one conversations with people, we talk about their brand, and you are your brand. So we need to make sure that you have clarity on that. And if you don't, you're in the right place, because we'll be working on that. The workbook had pre-work in it. And I wanted you to do this before today, but if you haven't, please don't beat yourself up. It's not a problem at all. Okay, no worries. But I want you to think about this question. What are your 5 strengths? Getting back to what makes you unique. Effective marketers know, my marketing leaders out there, you have to differentiate yourself from the competition. Why wouldn't you do that for yourself? This is how you do it, is identifying what your unique strengths are. And then we're going to continue to do work on that to help. Okay, so it's not just listing them. There's going to be more. But what are those 5 strengths? Okay. And as you're thinking about this and reflecting on it, I want you to acknowledge how far you've come, all the things that you have overcome. We have a tendency to beat ourselves up. Remember earlier, I was talking about reviewing this year. So I want you to look at what worked and what didn't work for you. What were the past challenges that you encountered this year? How did you overcome them? Maybe you didn't overcome some challenges. Maybe they pushed you back. What's the lesson that you can learn? And as you're doing this reflection, do not beat yourself up. It's not worth it. It doesn't serve any purpose, and it doesn't help you in any way. Instead, I'm going to talk about something you can do to really get the most out of those challenges that you felt very challenged by. And remember, so my whole point in this is to be kind to yourself always. You are working for yourself. Think of you are the CEO of your career, but then also too, you're working for yourself. And especially if you're doing a job search, you are working for you. Now, as your boss, does it make any sense to beat yourself up? Managers out there, really, is that a good thing? And when you've been the employee, does that really help your productivity? No, of course not. It doesn't help at all. Probably pushes it back and makes it worse. So again, be kind to yourself always. If that's one thing you can do for me today, I need you to do that. Your star stories are your accomplishments. So remember in the prior slide, I was asking you, what are your 5 strengths? Well, this is what we're going to do with them. This is how we use them to help us identify our brand. Okay. Well, so what are star stories? Star stories are strength, task, action, and result. I'll give you an example. One of my strengths is I am empathetic, right? Empathy is my strength. I've used my empathy. So a specific example of that was when I was an HR leader. I was working as part of the executive team, And there was a major conflict that rose up between the executive director and one of her direct reports. A huge clashing, huge conflict. And what I had to do was to work toward resolution with these two parties that were in conflict. I took a lot of actions. I talked with them each separately, and I gathered information, and I reflected on the conversations. And I had to do this in a pretty short time frame because we needed to get this resolved, but we also didn't want to rush through it either. We wanted to be thoughtful and really present to what was going on. So I took action, and then I brought them together, and we hashed through it, and we worked through it. The result was an improved working relationship between the executive director and her direct report. They're still working together today, and they've said that their working relationship has become stronger because of the work that we did in resolving that conflict. Okay, so that's one of my star stories. You have several star stories, and the thing I want to highlight to you is story. Communicating your examples in the form of a story make you more memorable and really convey your brand. Like when I was describing that to you, did it evoke any feelings to you? Okay, about my brand, about who I am. Okay. And that's powerful. It's almost like a picture, and how in a picture can communicate so much visually, and it's very powerful yet simple. So think of your star stories that way, but at a minimum, you should have 5 strengths, and then you should have a story that communicates each one of those strengths. And that was in your pre-work in the workbook. A third of our lives are spent at work. I think sometimes we forget this. I don't know why. Or maybe we just feel like we're on a hamster wheel and we're constantly working. There's that one song by, I think Rihanna sings it. It's like, she's like, work, 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 work. It never ends. And it's like, work does not have to be mundane and on a hamster wheel. In fact, it shouldn't, because again, it's a third of our lives. This is another reason why we need to design our careers and our work. We shouldn't be falling into default. No. That's not going to serve us or anyone else in any way, shape, or form. So I want you to think about, what is your ideal role? Work where you feel invaluable, fulfilled, you're well paid. You are pursuing your purpose, and you're using those 5 strengths that I asked you about to provide value to others where you are invaluable. You are able to be you. Your light is shining brightly. And again, you're able to be you in the workplace. You don't have to answer this question right now, but I really want you to spend some time, again, maybe right after we end. You should have a little bit of time before the hour is up to reflect on this. All right, so back to my housekeeping. I did want to review what we're up to this week. What are we covering? What is going on? So today is all about reflection, getting clarity on your purpose. And through that, we're going to try to give you clarity too on what your next ideal role is. When I'm working with my clients, and even before somebody becomes a client, I'm asking them. So some of you have done one-on-one calls with me already. If you haven't done a call, this is outside of working with you as a client. This is the most valuable way that I can help you if you are not a client. So if you have not scheduled the one-on-one call with me, make sure to do that. Make it a priority, because you get my undivided, focused attention on you, and we can really, I'm going to ask you questions to really ascertain your clarity. Okay. Like right now, how do you feel your clarity is in your brand? And that's why we're going through these questions. And the next step for you, what is that next step for you? Many of you are looking for your next role. Maybe your job search has lasted so long, it's driving you crazy. Or maybe you've come so close to getting a job, you've been the second place person over and over and over again. You're like, what am I doing wrong? Or some of you, you can't, you want to get past, I think Scott was the one who said that he wants to get past those keywords where you're being scanned, and it's like, you're not a person, you're just a piece of paper, you're just a digital document that they're scanning into their tracking system. And based on your keywords, you're either getting an interview or you're not. And unfortunately, it seems like you're not getting those interviews. So how can you get past that? Well, it starts with, we have to reflect. We have to bring it back to, your purpose and who you are, what your brand is, and how you want to use it to be invaluable to others. That's what's key. Tomorrow is day 2, where we identify how to take action. But first, we're putting together our plan because we have better clarity on who you are, what you want to do, what you're going after, and we're formulating a plan, an action plan, because nothing happens unless we take action. However, we don't want to waste our time. We don't want to be sending our resume to all these job postings and then not getting an interview, not getting interviews. We don't want to be doing 10 interviews and then get 0 job offers. That's not good. And we don't want to get job offers where they're like way below our salary expectations. That is not good. That's awful. You've put in all this work and effort in the interview process. You're moving through the process, and then they give you an offer that just totally deflates you. You're like, oh gosh, what happened? That's not good. All right, so that's why the plan is important. And then on Wednesday, day 3, we're going to be talking about connect. Connect is really the heart and soul of a good career, of a purposeful, fulfilling career, and also too, an effective job search, right? And I even hate saying job search. I really like to say search better, because I think our work can really transcend the word job. Job just seems to be like, it doesn't light me up. When I hear the word work, that I'm like, work effort, I can really sink my teeth into it, and it makes me excited because yes, I get to go to work. I get to really use my skills and talents to help others. So, but connection is the heart and soul of it. So when we take something as simple as the interview process, and we're doing that, all it takes when you are doing a job search, all it takes is one person, one decision maker to hire you. That is it. But you have to connect with that person. You need to have conversation with that person. When I think about with the missteps that I've made in my career, and I think the heart and soul of that came down to not really fully connecting. And, and so now I have an appreciation for that. But yeah, connecting with others is just so key. It's really, really important. And we just want to make sure that we're paying attention to it and we're giving it the attention that it deserves. So I can't stress that enough, that, and even when it comes to networking, many of you might, hear the phrase networking. I prefer to say, connecting. To me, connecting is better. So, oops, sorry, I'm jumping around with my slides a little bit. Don't mean to do that. And here. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So again, let's get back to today's topic, which is reflection. Okay. Now, earlier I was asking you to be kind to yourself. I want you to be aware of these two main voices that we all have. And the voices are the inner critic and the inner mentor. Okay. You most likely hear the inner critic a lot more than you hear the inner mentor. And I'm here to help you turn up the volume on the inner mentor, turn it way up, and to help you turn down the volume on the inner critic. However, the inner critic isn't a bad guy. I'm not here to make the inner critic a bad guy. All right. And I'll explain why. The inner critic is that voice that protects you, and it does keep you playing safe because it convinces you of failure and all those negative things. I think that the statistic is that we have over 65,000 thoughts on a daily basis, and 80 to 90% of those thoughts are negative thoughts that we have on replay. We're constantly listening to them over and over and over again. What's the result of that? When you hear negative messages over and over and over again, are you going to be excited about stepping out of your comfort zone? Are you even going to just do that and step out of your comfort zone? It's going to be harder. Why do we make things so hard on ourselves? There's no need to. We become aware of this. We can do things to stretch more and help ourselves to be successful and to achieve what we want to achieve. So with the inner critic, again, I don't want you to make them a bad guy, but I want you to be aware of them. And instead of that inner critic beating you up all the time, just being so negative, maybe try to turn the inner critic into more of a scientist, to being maybe a little bit more neutral. The inner critic isn't a bad guy because we had our inner critic in dinosaur days, and the inner critic kept us alive and kept us from being eaten by a dinosaur. So that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. That inner critic, our intuition, our instinct, our basic instincts are tied into there. Okay. However, we need to listen to it, but also consult with the inner mentor. Okay. This is what's important. So having a balance between the two, but really, I want you to make the inner mentor more of the main voice. However, it can consult with the inner critic. That is okay. And again, make your inner critic more neutral, more like a scientist. Like when you can look at things, just look at the facts and really weigh the pros and cons. That will be serving you so much more. Who is the inner mentor? The inner mentor is the voice of your intuition that allows you to dream and really tap into your deepest desires. That is what is most important. That is huge. It's very, very important. So, and it's hard to do. It can be hard to do, and it doesn't have to be. That inner critic allows you to dream and really, again, identify what is most important to you. But why is it hard to hear the inner critic? This is why. This is why there is so much noise, and it's not getting any better, people. It's not. But don't despair. Why do I say that? Because of technology. And I'm not making technology a bad thing, right? I am very grateful for technology, for social media platforms, especially LinkedIn. Oh my goodness, very grateful. Because of LinkedIn, I'm able to meet all these amazing people on a daily basis, have one-on-one conversations with them. It's awesome. It's terrific. But it's the way we tend to use technology too. I think when we're given valuable tools, there's that potential for us to misuse it. And so I want us to use our tools properly. And I want you to be aware of the noise that encourages your inner critic, and that drowns out your inner mentor. And this noise includes others' expectations and their opinions. There's several books out that are like, and there's quotes from famous people: don't worry about what other people think of you. But that is really hard to do. It can be very hard to do. The pandemic, we all have survived the pandemic for the most part, but I mean, that was a huge thing as well. That really impacted our inner critic and our inner mentor, drowning out the inner mentor. The news, the mainstream media. I do not watch the news. I don't encourage any of you to watch the news. Instead, what I think a better thing to do is, if you do watch the news, maybe use that time, shorten it down to 5 minutes or 15 minutes, but make it a small chunk of time. And then maybe instead of watching the news, use that time to go on LinkedIn so you can stay up to date on business, like what is going on. What's going on in the stock market right now? What's going on with cryptocurrencies? And those are the hot things right now. We don't want you to be discouraged, but I want you to know what is going on, but then unplug from it. Don't let it impact you. You want to be informed, but don't let it weigh you down, as things can weigh us down sometimes, and we don't want to be weighed down, because again, it doesn't serve us. Our relationships and our responsibilities, our commitments, all of these things can really drown out our inner mentor and tuning into our intuition, because really what we want is that should be our compass. Why are we here? It goes back to, why are you here? How are you supposed to use your unique skills and talents? And remember, the outside variables, anything outside of us, we cannot control. We have no control over those things. But you don't want to let them impact the outcomes of your dreams and your journey to reaching them. More on the inner mentor. So who is this inner mentor? And I have it, who is she? Because I'm a she, but of course, for the guys out there, you're going to be asking, who is he? Where does he live? What does he eat? This is a fun exercise to flesh it out. And also, I'm going to give you a book in a second, but I want you to think, again, your inner mentor is who you are 20 years from now. Okay, so go out into the future. Who is the woman that you want to be? Who's the man that you want to be? Where does he live? What does she eat? What does she look like? What are the clothes that she's wearing? Once you have a clear picture on who he is or who she is, then I even have more questions for you to ask. So what has mattered to that person, to your inner mentor, in the past 20 years? And what do you need to know and take action to get to where she is right now, where he is? And what's going to help you to be true to yourself, to be your best self? And I like to think of it as, that my coach encourages us to do this, to be her or to be him. Okay. But these are important questions. So I'm not just having you reflect on your work, because you're not just a robot who goes to work. You are a human being. Your brand is you, well-rounded, multidimensional. But you need to think about, where do you want to be 20 years down the road? What is important to you with that? So think about that. Ask yourself those questions and really reflect on that. I feel the number one goal setting mistake is listening to the noise and the inner critic. And the abbreviated version of the slide, if I just had to whittle it down a few words, it would be, don't should yourself. When you are setting goals, you need to ask yourself, am I shoulding myself? Shoulds are not really what you want. They're what other people want. They're what your inner critic wants. They're outside. They're coming from the outside and not the inside. That's a huge mistake. And you can constantly drill down, and I do this with my clients to make sure we understand why this is their why. Really constantly pushing, why is this important to you, and why, and why? So really ask yourself that question. Why is that important to you? And your inner mentor is the answer to your big, scary goal. So in your work, you really should have a big, scary career goal. And you can have a big, scary life goal too. And your work should really be a part of that. But what is your heart's desire? What does your inner mentor say to you? What is work that you can do now that would move you toward your ideal role in a big, scary career goal? What is that? So again, with today's topic being reflection, my questions for you are, what is your main goal? Why is it your main goal? Why is it, and especially, let's say, what's the big, scary goal? And then to ask, how can it be obtained? But I don't want you to be stuck too much on the how. I think often we get all stuck and all worried and we're not moving forward because we're so worried about the how. You don't need to know every stair in the staircase. As long as you can see the next step, that's good to take action. That's sufficient. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You really don't. And then this is in your workbook too. I want you to start using this. So I always try to focus on, like, if I had to pick one thing for you to do, and I've already said one or two things, but this is huge too. So if you can even think about, write it down. I have my career goal card right over here, and it has my goal. And I like to think of it as, often I think of it as my now goal, but for you, it's your career goal card. Is like, what are you working toward in your career? What's that big thing that you're reaching for next to attain, that you're working on right now? And to really keep you focused on it, you write it on the career goal card. You look at it throughout the day. That is powerful. It may sound, I don't know, you might think it's kind of silly, but it's not. It's powerful to have it written down and to be looking at it every day throughout the day. And then before you go to sleep, look at it, put it somewhere, put it on your dresser. When you wake up in the morning, look at it first thing. That should be your motivation. That should be the thing that drives you. And also in the workbook, we had these resources. These are apps that I think are very, very helpful, and I wanted to share them with you. Well, this one is a meditation video. So meditation can be a great tool for reflection, and I want you to leverage it. I encourage you to. You might have been like me, suffering from monkey mind, having a really hard time with meditation. That's when a guided meditation is an awesome tool for you to use. So that's what this is. It's a short 10-minute guided meditation. It's on YouTube. It's really nice. So start using that. But you really need to. It'll help with your stress. It will help you to tap into your inner mentor. Listen to that. The 5-minute journal is an app that I use every day. And this is a great way to stay focused too. It's very easy. It's on my iPhone. I use it in the morning and the afternoon for a few minutes, or at the end of my day. And it's great. And then daily affirmations. This is another app that can be really powerful to help you in listening more to your inner mentor and turning that inner critic into more of a neutral scientist that isn't holding you back, that isn't hurting you, that's helping you. Okay, so before I let you go, there was also another app that I wanted to share with you. So I'm going to actually put that in the chat right now because at the end of every day, I want to give you a fresh new bonus when I can. So I'm going to try to do this right now. So let me do this, but this is called the Mastery app. And this is something that I'm using currently. And it's like meditation and breath work. So it's really kind of combining the two. It is a little bit longer. It's about, I do it for about 20 minutes. However, they do have shorter versions. So if you're maybe really rushed one day, you don't have that much time, you can just use that. And really, that'll help you because it's doing both breath work and it's also doing meditation. So I should be able to grab it for you now. Let's see here. But again, it's Mastery. It is Mastry. I'm still trying to grab the link for you here. Maybe it would be better if I went over here and try to put it in the chat for you. It's not coming up now. Well, I can always put it here. Let me just see if I can do it here. I'll try one more time. And then I did also have a book title to share with you. Oh, and I see that Trisha Montgomery said hi to me in the Facebook. Hi, Trisha. I'm so glad that you were able to watch this. So this is great. Oh, darn it. All right, so I'm going to share the name, but for some reason the link did not copy. So, but we'll get that to you. We'll be sure. There's going to be resources, my updated recommended resources. I'm always adding things to it. So we'll be sharing that to you in the next day or two. But I encourage you, if you can do everything, even to attend part of a session live, that would be good. And maybe near the end, because I'm trying to share new resources with you constantly to help you. A book that is on the recommended resource list that we'll be sharing with you. I'm going to tell you about it anyway right now, because it's the title of the book is The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, and it's by Bronnie Ware. The reason I'm telling you about this book is I think it fits in perfectly with the theme today for reflection. Think about where you want to be at the end of your life. This is not a dress rehearsal. We only have so much time, and don't take time for granted. Read this book sooner rather than later. Really take the time out. It's an easy read. There's also an audiobook for it, but have work by design and not by default, because again, we spend over a third of our lives at work. It really should work for you. On that note, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for your attention. Again, we had about 100 people register. We've got people on Zoom and the Facebook group, and then people watching the replay. And our emails will be going out every day. So first thing in the morning, we'll have the Zoom link. And then in the afternoon, we'll send out the replay, the recording. And then, I forgot, the middle email will be right before we go live or as we're going live, just to make sure that you have the Zoom link if you want to do Zoom. And then participate in the Facebook group. Ask us questions. Let us know what you think, what you're stuck on. And I will see you tomorrow. We'll be back here, same time, 12 p.m. Print out that workbook, and I'm going to let you go now so you can reflect on today's session. Have a great day, and thanks again for being here. Bye, everybody.